Paul, it's obviously the big League One kickoff. How's the week been?
Very good. Yeah, it's. I think that if I look back at the whole pre-season, it seems to have been dragging because we're all just wanting to get to this point. Thankfully, we're here now. We're coming into it after a good week of training. The lads are looking lively. Um, we've just got to make sure that we take that into the game this weekend. We all accept that last weekend we weren't at the races, but I think it's different now because we're preparing for something with a real meaning. I know the supporters are all looking forward to it, and so are we. And now we just want to get started.
You mentioned it 5 weeks ago or whatever. You get these natural dips, don't you, during the pre-season period because the lads are going to be tired at times, and B, it just happens. How do you deal with that? How do you make sure you lift them again?
Well, to be honest with you, we haven't really had to lift them this week. They've lifted themselves. You know, I said what I needed to say at the weekend to them. We discussed it again on Monday morning. But this week has just been a case of doing all the preparation now, ready to go. And they're all, as we sit here now, they're still all waiting, wondering what the team's going to be. I mean, the type of work we've done, we've made little changes, but I'm sure if they think long and hard about it, they'll be able to see what the team is. But we'll do the final preparation on Friday morning. We'll name the team for them. We'll show them about Fleetwood, and we'll just get cracking on from there. And I've had a conversation today with them to say that if you're not in the starting 11, you have a role to play if you can be in one of the 7 on the bench. Even if you're not on the bench, you have a role to play, because over the season, the chances are we're going to need everybody. We need everybody to be right, everybody to be prepared and wait for their own opportunity.
How difficult is that for a manager, Paul? Because you've been on the flip side, you've been the player that has perhaps at times thought, I should be playing here. How do you manage that type of situation?
If I'm going to be honest, it's really difficult because nobody believes that they don't deserve to play. Everybody thinks that they should be in that 11. So that's something that will sort of evolve over the next probably few days, certainly next few weeks. But the games are coming thick and fast. We have Saturday, Tuesday for the first 2 weeks. We then have a bit of a break, and then hopefully we've got Saturday, Tuesday again if we can get ourselves through to the next round of the cup. So games are going to come thick and fast, and there's a couple of areas where we just need to manage players and make sure that they're okay. So the team that starts on Saturday is very likely to not be the team that starts on Tuesday because of us having to manage the bodies. And there's a couple who are not quite fully up to speed yet. So again, they've got to keep working their way into it. So it'll manage itself, and the players have all got to understand that there's only 11 can start and there's only 7 more who can be on the bench. So they've got to understand that, and I do think, and I trust them enough that they're professional enough to understand that, and they'll go about it in the right way.
For the last 18 months or however long you've had this message that the fans resonate with the fact that it's about us, but how can you prepare for the first game when you perhaps don't know what it is that Fleetwood will go with?
Well, we've watched Fleetwood over. I think we've had about 4 of their games watched. I've watched 3 of them on my computer, so we have an idea of what they're going to do. I mean, I can't guarantee what their team's going to be, just like they can't guarantee what ours is going to be. So we have an idea of what we expect from them, and we also know how we're going to come up against it, what we have to do to try and combat that. But I still do think that it's a lot of it about us. Maybe as we go through the season and we get a clearer picture of what the opposition are doing, there may be a few little tweaks to how we play. But my head tells me that we're going to have a framework of how we want to play, and there might be just little tweaks along the way that we make that's affected by the opposition. And that's the same as it was last year. You know, everybody who watched us over the season would have known how we started games, would have known that there was games where we went to a 4-3-3, there was games we had 2 midfielders and 3 up front with a back 5. We have little tweaks that go into it, and I would imagine that will be the same for this season as well.
We've spoken before about imposter syndrome for individuals. Can it happen with a team? Do we have to get over the fact that it's League One? Do we have to think, right, it's a challenge, or is it just another game of football?
I don't think the players will have any type of imposter syndrome mentality. I think the players know that they earned the right to be here, and I think that's really important because I don't believe you get promotion by chance. You get promotion because you've consistently done things well, and I don't care what anybody else thinks, whether we deserve to or not. We absolutely deserve to go up last season, and we're now in League One. So what we have to do is make sure that we show in our performances and the way that we go about it that we deserve to stay there. And the only way you'll do that is by winning games, by going about our business properly. I don't want to be a team this season that people say, oh, it was nice going to Carlisle, it was good, because that normally means they've gone away with something. I want it to be horrible to play against us this year. I want us to be really effective in how we do it, and whether that be through outworking people, out battling people, outplaying people, I don't actually care how we do it. I want us to be performing to a level that we keep our supporters happy and we make them want to come back again.
The reason for that question is I'm sure all the lads are the same. They'll have seen these predictions that come from pundits, betting companies, whatever, and we haven't fared well in these predictions. Does that affect people? Does that get into a mindset?
It doesn't affect me, because if it affected the players, we would have had it last year, because I think we were one of the favourites to go down last year. So that's why I don't gamble. I don't waste my money on that sort of thing, and I hope the players are not gambling. It doesn't really matter. And listen, if we don't get enough points, we'll deserve to go down. But at the moment, we're still in a good position. We haven't started yet. We're okay. Nobody knows what we're going to do. We have a clear mind about what we want to do. We want to keep surprising people. We surprised everybody last year. We want to carry on surprising them. Not ourselves, just everybody on the outside, and that's got to be the challenge for us this season.
And the good thing for all of that rubbish that goes before is the fact that we know what we've got in the building, don't we? We know what the group is, and we can see what they want to achieve.
Yeah, of course we have. We see how driven they are, and the togetherness that we had last season is still evident at the moment as well, and we've got to keep that, because I said earlier, we ain't going to go through this season with just 11 players. We're going to need everybody to play their part, and whether that's playing the part from the start, whether it's coming on and finish a game, whether it's playing their part day to day in training to keep the standards high, or being a positive influence around the dressing room and the corridors here, we all have to play our part in it. And it's now a long season. I just said to Dave Timmins there, I said, well, here we go. It's another season's coming, and they just seem to keep rolling one into the next without any break, and I'm delighted it's here. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's number 41 for me, so much to look forward to, and we've just got to make sure we give ourselves a real fighting chance.
Something you said 2 questions ago, it's actually a brilliant message, isn't it? We deserve to be here. There's absolutely no two ways about it.
Oh no, not at all. No, we thoroughly deserve to be here. We deserve to be in the playoffs after 46. We did it properly against Bradford in over 2 legs, and then in the final we got ourselves through. Doesn't matter how you do it, we actually deserve to be there, and it's a great opportunity, isn't it? It's a long time since Carlisle United have been in League One, and we've got to go and give it everything. We've got to make sure we are still in League One at the end of the season as well.
It wouldn't be an interview without an injury update. Danny Butterworth was missing with a slight scare about his muscular issues, and Jack was a little bit ill, I believe.
Callum was ill last over the week, but he's back in full training this week. He had a little bit of a touch of tonsillitis. Jack Robinson, was ill last week, but he was back into train on Monday. So we've had that to deal with. Dan has trained fully as a rehab session today, and he'll join training tomorrow, back in with the group. We're just having to manage it because he missed probably 3 weeks of football when he came into us. And he probably did a little bit too much, a bit too eager to impress and to keep himself out there. So we're just having to manage him. Kai is still a good few weeks away. That's taken a little bit longer than we thought it was going to be, so he's not been out on the grass yet. But we're in a good state. We've got the bulk of the squad available. I've got decisions to make. There's probably, if I take Dan out of the mix, there's probably 4 or 5 who are going to be disappointed to not be in the 18, but as I keep saying, it's about having a squad.
It's brilliant, isn't it, to have that number of bodies available for the options that it brings for you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, we've had to manage pre-season a little bit because of the length of time that the lads had off. They only had a 4-week break from full training, but they only had about 10 days where they didn't do anything, and then they were back onto a programme to reintroduce themselves back into it. So it's been a different type of pre-season, so we just hope that we've been able to get the right amount of work in to get them ready to start. But I said this last year, they're not ready to peak at this moment, because there's no point peaking on the 5th of August, because come November, December, they've absolutely shot to pieces. So we have to make sure we have a steady build-up. They're fit enough to start these games at the weekend, fit enough to go through the first few weeks of the season, and then we'll keep building and hope we're ready to peak at the right time.
I know you want a dressing room full of leaders. It's always interesting to us to see who gets the captain's armband, and I don't think it's any surprise that it's Hunt's.
Yeah, it's no surprise to me. He took it on last season, thought he did well with it. It was when Corey played, he took it at times as well, but Hunt's had it. I don't know if I've said this before, but I don't really care. I'm not really bothered about who wears the armband. I want a team of leaders, and I'm looking at the group that we've got, and we've got people like Joe Garner, who's a leader. We've got Sam Lavelle, who's a leader. Corey's a quiet leader who goes about it. Callum Guy's had an armband before. Dylan McGeoch's been a captain before. I want everybody to lead in the way they go about it, and some people lead through example of going and running and tackling and blocking things. Owen Moxon led with last season with his creativity. Jordan Gibson with his assists. That's been a leader as well. That's been brave to get the ball and to try things in the right areas. So Hunts will be the captain when he's playing, and somebody else may have an armband on, but I want as many leaders in that group as we can possibly get.
I think it's fair to say, watching how you operate, you like that conduit from the manager's offices to the dressing room, and that's an important part of that role, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I have a group of what I call the senior players, but there's young players in that as well, who, if I have something that I want to run past them, I speak to them. There's things like, I have a discussion around how we're going to travel to games this season, and that because of the train, it's going to affect the Friday day, and it's this or that. So I speak to the players and say, if we do it this way, how will you feel? Do you feel that'll be right for you? Go and have a chat with the rest of the group. So I think it's important, because it's all right me having an idea of what I want to do, but if it's not right for the players, then I'm not doing my job properly. So I think that's important, that the captain's part of it, but also we have other players, other senior players, and some younger ones. So we've got a spread of knowledge and sort of opinions, and then I make the decision from there. Because I think the days now of a manager running everything with a stick, I think they're gone. I don't think people react in the right way to that. I certainly don't think young people do anyway, and I think you have to get a buy-in from them for it to work properly. So that's what I try to do. Who knows if it's the right thing, but it's just the way I try and do things.
You mentioned the train there, Paul. That's an interesting one. Something you wanted to look into through the close season. It's come to fruition. What's the thinking, and what will be the plan behind that?
Well, the thinking is to be able to get a quicker travel. We avoid having the chaos of an M6 or an M1 on a Friday afternoon, which we had many times last season. It still doesn't make it a quick journey, but I think we've looked at fixtures. I think there's about 9 or 10 this season that we're going to go down on the train. There's a couple which will go into London, and then there's quite a few who'll go to Milton Keynes, and the coach will pick us up at Milton Keynes. And we're just looking to see if we can get a little edge, and if that edge is going on the train travelling down on a Friday to help with our preparation, we'll do that. The sort of dilemma that I've got at the moment is, do we train normal time and then get train later, or do we train later in the afternoon on a Friday and reduce our recovery time and then get the train? So this is where I'm asking the players for their opinion on it, on what's the right thing to do. Whatever happens, it'll be how they play on a Saturday that will affect the game, not so much all of that. But if we can get if we can nick a little 5-10% by travelling on a train, then we will look to try and do that.
Transfer window, Paul. Luke was something that you told us to expect at the start of the week. You wanted another one. What happened there? Are we going to get it this week?
No, it's not happening. When we're looking at bringing Premier League loan signings in young players, there's all sorts of criteria that clubs have to be comfortable with, and the one, it was quite obvious, was a goalkeeper at the weekend. The club wanted him to sign an extension to his contract. They thought it would be dead straightforward. It wasn't. They've hit a stalemate, so they're not prepared to let him come out. Simple as that. We've probably had, 6, 7, 8 goalkeepers that we've looked at over the summer break, and none of them have happened so far, but we're still working away, trying to get them in. It isn't going to happen before the weekend, but we've got till the end of August to try and do it, because at the moment we've got Thomas, and we have a young guy in Gabe who is a good goalkeeper, probably not ready for first team football at the moment. He may get an opportunity as we go through the season, but it's an area that we certainly need to strengthen, and I can assure everybody we are trying to, but it just hasn't happened so far. And what I want this season is a second goalkeeper who is not just a number two, who could also be a number one, and that's an area, that's no disrespect to what we had last season in Mick, but I didn't feel confident enough to play him in the first team in a league fixture. I want somebody who is really going to push, and if I get to a point where I'm thinking I need to change it, I'm comfortable in doing it, and that's what I'm going to try and do.
What a Saturday for Gabe if you do decide to go with a second goalkeeper on the bench for a young man like that, and then he'll be sat there probably nervous.
Oh, he will be nervous, and as it stands at the moment, unless something happens between now and tomorrow lunchtime, Gabe will be on the bench on Saturday. It's as simple as that. So, you know, I'm really happy with what he's been doing in training. He's coming along, developing really well as a goalkeeper. I just need somebody who's got some experience behind them, who can really push, and I want it's twofold really. I want somebody to keep Thomas on his toes. I want him to be knowing that he has to keep his game at a level to make sure that he stays in the team.
I hate to have to bring his name up, Owen Moxon, because we don't want distractions, but it's a fact, it's out there. Where are we at with that situation at the moment?
There's been nothing at all this week. He's just got on with training. I haven't spoken to him about it. The contract offer's there, and it's up to him to come to us. I want him to stay, that's quite clear, but there's no change at all. He's training with us, he's getting on with it, and he's available for the weekend.
Other than that keeper position, are you expecting any other, or do you want to fill any other positions with incomings?
There may be, depending who we bring in goalkeeping wise. I think there may be something left in the budget to bring somebody else in. At the moment, I'm really comfortable with what we've got, and as I said earlier, there's going to be four or five players who are not going to be in the 18, and what I don't want is 7 or 8 players who are not in the 18, because that's when it becomes a little bit of a problem. I want to go with a tight squad, but I also feel as though we need to make sure we've got enough. So once I get the keeper positions sorted, there's a few other things that we've kept warm on the back burner at the moment over the last few weeks. Premier League clubs, and in fact some Championship clubs, are just coming back from their pre-season tours at the moment, so that situation might just evolve as well over the next few weeks, and there may be others, but I'm really comfortable with what we've got going into the game this weekend, and at the moment that's the only one that matters. And
again, to free up a little bit of money, I suppose, could you look at some of our players going out, perhaps on loan over the next couple of weeks?
Possibly, but nothing in terms of the ones who I think will be playing in our first team. There may be something that will happen with younger players. Something might happen quickly on one of those, but at the moment it's a case of just get ready for Saturday, get our own group ready for what we want, and hope that we can get off to a good start.
Got to mention the Andrew Jenkins stand, which is getting renamed this weekend. I mean, 60 odd years with the club, and however many as chairman, that's fantastic for him.
It's an incredible achievement, and he thoroughly deserves that. I really do think he does. I mean, I know, listen, everybody has opinions as football supporters. They all believe that, you know, when things are going badly, that directors should throw more money at it. I think our chairman has thrown a lot of money at this football club. He's lived his life through this football club. He is passionate about the football club, and I think that is a fantastic gesture. I think his sons have been the ones working away in the background to get this sanctioned, and I think it is a fitting tribute to somebody who has dedicated not only his life to pioneer in the business, but he has dedicated so many hours and so much of his own money to this company, to this football club, and you know, who knows where this club would have been without his support, and hopefully he can come and enjoy looking at that stand for many years to come.
And the home sections of that stand are pretty much sold out for Saturday. I think we're tipping towards 7,000 already on a Thursday afternoon in terms of fans. It's going to be great to be in front of them again.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant. I mean, it's You think back to the last time they were here for that Bradford City game, what an atmosphere that was, what an atmosphere they created at Wembley. I hope we've kept some of them. I know they can't come to every game, but I hope we've kept some of them, because again, I'll say it, they play a massive part. They've played a huge part so far in my time back at the club, and we need them to continue to play their part. Last season we had tough times and they stuck with us. I would imagine we're going to have some tough times this season, and I just ask them to stay with us. Come and give us a chance. Come and back us. I accept that they're probably not going to be cheering all the time because there's going to be tough times, but just stay with us. Come and keep supporting the football club, because without them we wouldn't be in this stronger position than we were 17, 18 months ago. We've all played a part, and let's try and all stick together again.
And again, I hate to have to dump this one on you, but we all know about the fine, the £7.5 fine. That is not Carlisle United Football Club at all. That's not our fans.
No, it's not. No. Well, no. Unfortunately, it is. It is some of our fans, and all we can ask is just behave yourselves. You pay your money to come in and support, and that money is going towards helping the football club progress. When you get hit by a fine by the FA, that doesn't help us. It's coming out of something. We have a big pot of cash in a football club to spend for the benefit. If some of that is going away because somebody's been an idiot with something they've said, or something that's been thrown, or somebody running onto the pitch, that ain't doing anybody any favours. That's not a supporter of the club. That's somebody who's actually doing stuff to the detriment of the club. So let's cut it out. Let's police ourselves. Let's manage it ourselves, and see if every penny that these people who are coming in to support us and sponsor us, every penny that's been generated, let's keep it for us. Let's not go and line the pockets of the FA who've got enough money. I was stupid enough to make daft comments last year, and I had to line the pockets of the FA. I ain't going to do that again. I'd love it if that money was going to a worthy cause, but it isn't. It's going into the FA, just like our fine is. So let's all learn. Let's all be better. And let's make sure that this place is a really good place to come and enjoy an entertaining game of football. And we send the opposition away disappointed, but disappointed because they've got nothing and not because they've had a flea in their ear.
Hands up, this is a rubbish, predictable question to end with, because I know you don't do predictions for a kick-off, but what's success for your team this season?
Well, success, the first level of success has to be to make sure we have enough points to be still in the league next summer. That's my first thing. I want us to just go and do ourselves justice, and I don't know what that is at the moment, because we're starting afresh. We know there's some big clubs in the league. We know that we're probably not going to be one of the biggest clubs in terms of finances. I don't care about those things. I want us to surprise people. I want us to do ourselves justice, and I want to make sure that I'm still in the job at the end of the season.
Brilliant, Paul. Thank you.